Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Beyond the Belief podcast. I'm your host, Lavender Loveway. With each episode, I invite you personally to join me as we explore a belief. It might be a widely held idea or a forgotten truth, or perhaps even one that feels unknown or deeply contested. This is a sanctuary for exploration, a place to absorb, listen, and learn with an open heart. We're shedding the heaviness of right and wrong and ascending into the lightness of greater connection and expansive knowledge. Today's episode is no exception. This is another precious opportunity to find a little gem or two of wisdom that helps you reweave your own tapestry of truth. In today's episode, if you feel that feeling of you want to return, you're unsure or you're very hesitant, that is the line, the perimeter of your paradigm. So it's something where we're insecure, we're unsure, we're talking about the everyday things of I need to go stand up in front of my whole class. I need to go talk to the person that I have a crush on. I need to step up and say something to my boss. That is a boundary that they've crossed. So there's these things that might make a little bit of apprehension. But the wonderful, incredible thing was that my guides wrapped this into a feeling that can explain the beautiful divine purpose of this feeling. It's not a stop sign, it's a detector. Hello, dear soul. I am delighted with this episode because to me, this one, to say the least, it hits straight to my heart. I think one of the biggest challenges that we navigate as humans is our comfort zone. And having the call to, or sometimes embodying the bravery, or feeling the connection to the next step that we're often destined to take. But for some reason, we're just not doing it. And oftentimes it's fear. More than likely not. 95% of the time, I'd probably guess, or some root of fear. And when I was channeling with my guides, they said something to me. It's like it reframed the comfort zone, because we often hear it's about an area or a designated zone that we feel pretty good. And then the moment that we step outside of it or attempt to, it's like all the signals go off. But what they shared with me is what they call the perimeter of your paradigm. And Bob Proctor was the first one who introduced the paradigm concept to me. And for me, a paradigm is such a beautiful word for what it is, because we often, if we're associating it with a comfort zone, to me, it feels very static and very specific, and that there's only one. But often our quote, quote, comforts of any one thing or area, if we're looking at it from relationships in relation to money, or we're looking at it in one relationship as related to another, there might be a difference in either one of those comfort zones, if you will. But we instead kind of lump them all together. And I also feel like comfort zone sometimes limits us in that there's kind of one for life. And once you have it, that's it. But what's interesting about a paradigm is it's kind of like the architecture of something that then can morph and ascend and change. So it's almost expected that your paradigm would not remain the same, yet we still try in the same way to hold on to everything. But it's positioning it more in a place of ascension for me. And then when my guides kind of took this comfort zone and then the perimeter of your paradigm, for some reason I was like, holy cow, it connected expansiveness, as in we have this perimeter where this paradigm currently exists. And in shifting that or expanding that or lifting that, we open ourselves up for the next paradigm. First, I want to share what my guide said in how to describe it and what the perimeter of your paradigm is. They shared, if you feel that feeling of you want to return, you're unsure or you're very hesitant, that is the line, the perimeter of your paradigm. So it's something where we're insecure, we're unsure, we're, like the little like, I don't know about this. And there is a difference of this in very extreme cases, let's say, of true fear, of true danger. Okay. We're not talking about that. We're talking about kind of the everyday things of I need to go stand up in front of my whole class to do a presentation. I need to go talk to the person that I have a crush on. I need to step up and say something to my boss so that they know that that is a boundary that they've crossed. So there's these things that might make us like, ooh, have a little bit of apprehension. But the wonderful, incredible thing was that my guides then kind of wrapped this into a feeling that can explain the beautiful divine purpose of this feeling. Essentially, it's not a stop sign, it's a detector. Here's what they shared. It is the detection, because if your core, your center, your heart feels connected, feels grounded, feels purposeful, feels intentional, that is the connection that is what tells you that you are going in the right direction. Whoa. Okay. All right. I'm telling you, the minute I heard this, I was like, okay, wow. So not only are we pretty well versed in what this feeling feels like, but now this is the feeling that lets us know, that is literally our indicator that we're going in the right direction. And again, we're not talking about those situations that are more serious. We're talking about the average kind of everyday things that make us a little uncomfy, that feel a little icky, that feel a little sticky, that feel like there's just something that I wouldn't prefer this. You know what? Never mind. Nah, I'm good. I'll just sit back down. I don't want to make that speech, because if I make that speech, that means that somebody might not like it, or somebody might like it. And now I have to do that all the time. And I don't want to do that. Never mind. It's those situations that I'm talking about. And in this way, y'all, they're telling us two things in this quote. So obviously the quote itself of that you're going in the right direction, this is the way to kind of almost reframe that feeling, is phenomenal. Phenomenal. We don't get the opportunity to really reframe something that is deeply ingrained in our culture. Deeply. We've learned to fear that uncomfy feeling. We've learned to fear it. We've learned because of the one time in second grade this happened, or the one time your boss did this at your last employer, or the fifth time that, so-and-so. Okay, if we're tying it to something, there's something more. And this is a repeated offense, this is the fifth time, this is going to be the sixth time, we are clearly holding on to something that is not serving us. And if it's a repeat, we're not ascending. That's what it tells me. But with this quote, they are sharing with us also our feeling at our core. So yes, our external or our surface emotion might be, let's say, I'm fearful of standing up in front of the class to make the speech. Or I'm fearful of telling my boss that they've crossed the line. This is a boundary for me, establishing a boundary. What they said is key, that if at your core, your center, basically your heart, feels connected and grounded and purposeful and intentional, essentially if your center feels good, yet there's kind of this outer swirl that feels, I don't know, or like, this is scary, or I don't know where this is going to go, any of those things, this is our indicator that we're going in the right direction. So if you yourself don't feel grounded, don't feel connected, then that's not the indicator. So we need to have kind of that center feeling of grounded and connected, and that swirl of like, ooh, to know those two things coming together indicate instantly that we are going in the right direction. And this also instantly tells us that we've reached the perimeter. We've hit the perimeter. We've indicated the perimeter. And one of the first things I ever did to kind of help me reframe all of this in my mind. So reframe comfort zone, reframe like the line. So it's the current fence that exists for our paradigm, which is never permanent. Never. Our mind tries to make it permanent because that gives us security. It's a false sense of security. So when we've hit the perimeter, here's what my guides shared on what to do. Or if there is something scary or something that you have not done before, You feel like you are not confident. You are not sure if you will make it. That is when you lean more into your divine connection, your guides. And I will be honest right now, y'all. Myself going through a lot of life change right now. I am hitting the perimeter. I am meeting the perimeter. I am touching the perimeter. I'm saying hi to it. We're on a first name basis. And when I feel those feelings, unsure, there's some sort of belief there. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I haven't done this before, so I don't know if I can jump. This is when we need to turn inward and upward. This is when we need to ask for support. Guides, I call on your guidance. I call on your illumination. I call on helping me to see something that I cannot see. I have said that more times than I could even count. But I will say this, that when you call that in, it comes. You must believe it. That's the other thing. Our beliefs, and I will continue to expand on this in other episodes as I have in previous episodes, but our beliefs and what we hold in our heart as to what we believe opens everything up or restricts everything from our life experience. It is literally the gatekeeper. So if you believe that you can ask for support, leave it at that. You don't know what your guides are going to say. You don't know how far they'll take things. Allow that to be the magic. Allow that to be something that they get to worry about. They get to be challenged with. They're tasked with, and they love it. This is what they love. But for you, it's about believing that they're there, believing that they will assist you, believing that they will share with you something to open the door, to shine the light, to at least crack the window, to allow that illumination that you need in this very moment of now. And I've spoken about this on previous episodes as well, that we are navigating on the Superconscious river. And we have ourselves and we're in a boat and we are drifting with the current of life. And that is the flow of the way things go. And sometimes it's faster and sometimes it's a little slower. And sometimes you're going through some rapids and sometimes you're just on still water for a little while. You just never know what you're going to get into. We are on the Superconscious river. And so leveraging that analogy again, they came back with something a little bit more expanded about us and our boat. I think this too, when we feel this current pulling us, this is where the fear comes in. Well, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to do this. You know what? This feels icky. This feels weird. I'm not so sure. Those are all the feelings we have. I see them actually as a mirror. So when you're also going through that experience of feeling that, knowing, believing that you're in your boat, and right now you might be going through a little patch of intensity. A little patch of maybe a little bit of rapids, a little bit more pull because there's more rush, more water. There's more things happening. But as my guides are sharing, this is where we ask for help. Here's how they expand on how to do that. Your boat feels shaky. Allow them to repair your boat or provide you with some gear or to direct your boat or to provide you with a small map. They will provide you something to help navigate that feeling, especially if that is the right way for you. So I think there's two things here, and who they're talking about is our guides asking for support. First, if we're feeling shaky, we're not sure, we don't know what's going on. We feel the pull, like we should go get up and make this speech, but we've never done this before. We don't know how this works. We don't want to make a joke of ourselves. We go through this list. So in seeking help, going inwards and upwards, asking. So maybe they give you a small map to show you the next step or two. Maybe they come in and repair your boat. Maybe they're giving you some gear. They're empowering something on your journey. You're not by yourself. It can feel like you're by yourself, because you physically maybe can't see. But remember, we have other senses that we can sense our guides, what are affectionately called the clairs. So one of our clairs could feel into, smell into, sense into, know into that your guides are near and that your guides are here to help. So that becomes a practice when we allow energy to feed those things. So feeding your clairs strengthens them. It's the same with muscles. If we want to train a muscle, we need to work with it. We need to flex it. We need to push it. We need to challenge it. We need it to heal. We have all of the kind of evolutions of how to strengthen something. It's the same thing. But what's so profound is that not only are we going to get the support, but they're also going to provide something if that's especially the right way for you. And this is what I've noticed in my own life experience. For those things that are the right way, going in the right direction, even though it's difficult, standing up in front of the class. And I can give this as, I guess, a personal example. When I was in high school, I tried out for my high school leadership team when I was a freshman. And I had to stand up in front of my whole freshman class to give a speech. And I remember being so petrified. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Because I want to prepare for college. Like, who cares about that? I still have 4 years. I'll get there. Like, my ego was just going wild. And I felt pulled. I felt like that was where I needed to be. And I didn't know why, but I had faith. And I asked for help. I asked for support from the God of my knowing at the time. And I tell you what, I stood up there and I instantly got supported. I walked up there. I even back to when I had to complete my application and get ready and practice every single step of the way. I was given something, a little something, a little something. But then there's times in my life, like I can speak more recently, when I was doing videos, but for the career side of things. So I invested 20 years of my life in the corporate world, in recruiting and HR, talent acquisition. And I felt that when I quit my last corporate job, that was the most reasonable thing for me to do, is teach others how to interview and how to get the job and how to do their resume. It made a lot of sense. It was very logical. And it's not that I didn't have the experience, but it just wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And I kept asking for help. And what would happen is I wouldn't be injured. It wasn't like I was abandoned. It wasn't the same. And then on top of it, I was running into problems all the time because I was not in flow. If you see it like this, I basically chose to get out of the river. I grabbed my boat. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go down this other stream because I don't have to worry about the current pulling me and going through rapids and dealing with rocks and, all this stuff that I'm frustrated with. I'm going to just take my boat and I'm going to go over here to this little stream where basically I can just float around. And of course, I can choose my experience. If that's what I choose, okay. But we are in the Earth video game. I made an episode on that. I'll link that in the show notes for y'all and share it here. But I literally went to this place that was of my own choosing. And then in asking for support, it's not that I was abandoned because they still would help me. I still had successful YouTube videos and successful streams. I used to stream on Twitch and things would go well. I met some incredible people, but everything felt so hard and tough. And it was like I was fighting against the grain. There wasn't a flow. And this is what I appreciate about their metaphor on being on the Superconscious River, because we are meant to flow. And our guides are surrounding our boat and they are guiding us and getting obstacles out of the way and making sure that we, get into the right path that we need to get. They are doing all of that for us because we mapped this out before we got here. So if we choose to take our boat and put it in a different body of water, our guides are still there to support us, but you're not going to get into any flow. It's going to feel stuck, stifled. The same thing as it was me basically choosing my corporate career again. I just didn't work for somebody. I would talk about the same things. I would do the same things. I'm telling you, it was like I had the same job, but it was just like different people, different variables. But that's not what I was called to do. And y'all, I will be very honest, I gambled my entire life on it. My financial situation, my everything. I felt like it made so much logical sense. But we forget that we're here for something or many somethings. So what I'd love to invite you to contemplate for this gorgeous episode is thinking about, where is your boat right now? Where is it? And depending on where your boat is, have you hit that or touched that perimeter of your paradigm? Is there something there that feels icky or weird or unsure. Like, is there something there? Because your guides are there to support you, and they will support your boat no matter what. They will. But there's a lot of things. It's like an environment of friction or an environment of flow. And when we hit that perimeter or touch that perimeter or see it, this is our opportunity to see where we are, to objectively understand where we are located on the grander map. And is it where you want to be? Does it feel good? And if we're not in a position of relentlessly, let's say, getting to that edge, it's kind of like my other metaphor of the floor and your ceiling. So you establish your floor, your foundation, and then you rise eventually and you get to your ceiling, what you thought was the highest point you could ever get to. And then suddenly you realize that becomes your new floor. And then you're able to identify your ceiling again, rise to it. So you're constantly ascending. It's the same thing with our perimeter. And it might not be a perfect circle, but I'll give this kind of visual. When we reach that edge, we might then expand out a little bit. Take that risk, do that speech, see what happens, gain that experience. Or it might make it kind of weird oblong shaped. Or it might empower us to see the whole thing and throw the whole thing out and decide, you know what, I'm going to be actually over here. I'm going to be in a totally different area. So it empowers us to actually understand, if you will, the physical location, quote, of our boat. But it's about believing we're supported. It is about feeling centered. So that thing that's making you feel uncomfy, asking that person out that you really like, do you feel centered about it? Does it feel good? It might feel scary, but does it feel good? Are you excited about it? If everything is aligning at your center, that's telling you you're going in the right direction. So as much as we're able to center and ground, we're able to really identify where we're going and that we're going in the right direction. And then when we reach that perimeter point, wherever it is, this is where we lean in, we go inward and upward, we lean into our divine guidance. And they are the ones who are assisting you. And if you feel like you are in some flow, and obviously if you can imagine a river, for the most part, you're going to be flowing along because the current is pulling you. And then maybe you kind of go over here to this little pituitary thing and you're kind of spinning around, then you move around, and then, maybe you get stuck on this little beaver dam, and then eventually the water clears out, then you kind of go around it. So there are things that can kind of get in the way of our path, but for the most part, we're not fighting. We're not resisting. We're not pushing. We're not trying to make it go faster. We're instead participating in that flow, in that dance. But if we, as I shared, I had picked up our boat and put it in another body of water, and we're not flowing, and we can feel there's a lot of friction and there's a lot of stuckness. This is where also asking for support, asking for help, asking for clarity, because your guides will tell you also if you are not going in the right direction. They will also tell you what might be a better decision, what might be a better option. Now remember, they cannot make these decisions for you, but they can always advise you. And from that place, if you can identify where you are, if you are in some sort of flow, then they're helping your boat. They're giving you gear. They're giving you a map. They are empowering you to continue on that journey. And that current right now feels a little scary and you're not so sure about getting on that stage. They're going to help you do that. I know this because they did it for me. And if we also have any hesitation, we know when something's right for us. We deny it. Often it comes so easy and so fast that it wasn't that easy. No. Well, if it's not easy, that means it's not right. No. Follow your heart. Connect with it with your heart. Even this morning, my guides, I was channeling, and they were saying to follow what your heart says. Look at something. Like if you look at a picture, you can think about it or you can feel it. This is an opportunity for you to feel it. Feel into that thing. Feel into getting up there on that stage. Is it what you really want? It's just kind of scary doing it? Or are you trying to push yourself up there because you think that's what will make you better, or that you have to do, or so-and-so expects you to do? The first scenario where you are being pulled to do it, your guides are going to just help you do it. It's going to be so easy. You're in your boat, you're stuck on something, and they come in and just squeak by and move your boat, and now you're right back into the flow again. It's instant. But if you are in that push mode, this is where they may invite you to think about other things. They might present other scenarios. They might even present other exit points right in front of you. It can happen. Other opportunities, other options. The universe is speaking to us at all times. But that perimeter is an opportunity for us to reframe what it is. It is an opportunity for us to go inward, to observe, to understand, to identify where our boat is, to ask and seek guidance and help, and to make a decision that is so beautifully aligned, that moves our boat in the perfect, perfect timing, perfect way, because that is what this life experience is about. And my invitation for you in deep contemplation is taking some moments to understand where your boat is, what your boat is tasked with, challenged with, and what your heart feels. Are you in the right place? Are you in the right relationship? Are you in the right job? Are you in the right commitment for the weekends? Are you doing what's right for you? Go inward, go upward. Seek the clarity. Believe, and you shall receive.